Hello everybody. So today's going to be a little busy. We're going to can peaches today. Let me show you what I got going on. I got things set up. Okay, so I have the lids boiling here. I have a pot of boiling water. I'll tell you why in a second. I did the dishes. I set up my canner. I have a bowl, a large, huge 30-quart bowl here of cold water. My jars are all clean and sanitized and set up. The rings, everything's set up. This is the side bowl we're going to be putting peaches in. So let's get started. Okay, so these are all the peaches we're going to can today. I got them at a fruit truck that picks them organically. Kind of like a farmer's market almost. Okay, so we have to take the skins off the peaches. So I have this pot of boiling water so we can blanch the peaches. It makes the skins come right off once you put them into the cold water. So I have the big, huge 30-quart bowl of cold water. So what we're going to do is we're going to blanch these for a couple minutes each. And then I'm going to transfer them into the other bowl. And then we're going to take the skins off. So that's what we're going to do. It's a lot easier when you take the skins off. I don't recommend canning peaches with the skins on. Not a pleasant texture. That's just my preference though. You're going to see all the fuzzies from the peaches popping to the top here, which is fine. So we just leave them in for a couple minutes, let the skins soften, and then we'll put them directly into the bowl of cold water over here that I have. And then we can take the skins off. Okay, so while this is getting ready here, I'm going to pull out another pot and I'm going to make a water, basically a simple syrup mixture to fill the jars with. So I'm just going to fill the pot with water. We'll get that boiling and ready while we're doing the rest of everything else. We're not really cooking the peaches, we're blanching the skins. So I'm just going to fill it like that. And we're just going to heat up the mixture. I'm going to get some sugar and put that in it in a minute. I can never tell if it's just right yet. I usually end up putting it in the bowl of water. See how the skin is starting to come off? This one's good. So I'm going to put this into the cold water. Putting them in the cold water enhances the skins coming off faster. Okay, so let's just put a few more into the bowl here and see if they're ready, because they only need a minute or two. I'm just putting them directly into the cold water. Yep, see the skins are coming right off. I don't know if you can see that. See? Just want to show you what they look like in the bowl. You see how the skins are coming right off? This is what we want. This will make it so much easier to take the skins off. So these skins are coming right off. I don't know if you can see that. Coming, literally just peeling right off. See? It's a fairly easy process. It is an extra step that I take because of the texture. I have a thing with texture, so I really like to have the skins taken off when I can peaches. See? Skin is all taken off. So I'm just going to put them in this bowl over here. See, all you have to do is just literally rub it and it comes right off. This is this exact same process I'm going to use when I make my tomato sauce. I know there are a lot of people that make their tomato sauce with the skins on. Like I said, I have a thing with texture, so I'm going to be doing this with the tomatoes as well. So when we do that canning video, you'll see me do this exact same process to take the skins off. And they come right off. I'll chop some of this off once we chop them. You don't want to leave them in too long though, otherwise it makes the fruit mushy. So make sure you only do it for a couple minutes, and if you need to test it, just kind of rub it and see if it comes off easily or if the skin moves. just like that. I learned to can peaches when I was younger. I watched my mother and one of her friends can peaches in the kitchen, and it fascinated me even then. It was awesome. See? It's actually quite fast. Just like that. Oh, this smells so good. Oh, I love the smell of peaches. I might need to do more peaches. We'll see. My family loves peaches, and I loved canned peaches. I love fresh peaches. I like peaches, period. I even like making peach barbecue sauce. I do make that too sometimes. I'll give you a little closer look on what I'm doing here in a sec. In the water here, it'll look a little murky in a minute just because of all the fuzzies from the peaches and the skins. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll give you a look. Just give you a little closer look. See? All I'm doing is swiping my thumb. I'm barely putting any pressure and they come right off. Oh, just about put that in the wrong bowl. Oh, they smell so good. Probably should have bought a little bit more than this, but I wasn't sure how many I should do this year. I only have one jar left from last year. I made peach pie filling as well last year. This part, I'm just going to kind of wipe it off just a little bit so it doesn't mix with the other ones, but I will cut all these little pieces off. When I think most people slice their peaches, and I do usually, but my fiance actually requested if I could cut them into chunks this time. And so I think that's a good idea. More bite-sized pieces. Sometimes he'll like to take just a jar to work for lunch. So I'll cut them into chunks this time. The pot of water that is on the stove that I showed you, I put half a cup of sugar and a couple tablespoons of lemon juice in it for the simple syrup that goes inside after we put the peaches in the jars. I will add a little bit more lemon juice to each jar as well for the canning process, but I like adding a little bit of lemon juice to my simple syrup. Gives it a really nice flavor. You can can them in just water if you prefer. I know some people do this in the sink. They'll fill the water with fill the water into the sink and then peel the peaches in the sink. I don't generally prefer to do it that way, only because I don't know if most people know this, but your sink is your dirtiest place in your house. It has the most bacteria, more so than your toilet. So I just don't want to do that. So even if you sanitize your sink, it still has a lot of bacteria in it. So I just use a bowl. If you don't have a bowl this big, you could use a roaster, you could use anything big enough. Even the water bath canner itself could be used for this. Okay, so we're done doing the peaches. I left the water boiling just in case I needed to do any more of the peaches a little bit more. So I'm going to clean up a little bit of this and then we'll get to chopping these up into chunks. Okay, so I got a cutting board that has a lip just because of the juices. So let's start doing this. Hold on, I need one bowl for the scraps. Okay, these are quite slippery, so, you know, handle with care. So I think I'm just going to put them into slices and then cut them in half. I think would work best. I'm literally just cutting it off the stone for those that don't know how to can peaches. And then I'm just going to cut them in half. Those are nice bite-sized chunks. Mmm. Fresh peaches. Oh my gosh. They're delicious. These are very ripe peaches as well. I had them sitting here for 3 days since before I had time to can them. So they're nice and fresh and delicious. Oh my gosh. I like having canned peaches. It allows me to make a lot of different things. I can use them in desserts. I can use them with cake. I can use them just to eat just right out of the jar. I can use them to make sauce. There is a pork recipe that I'm going to show you guys one day. It's a pork roast recipe and it has a really delicious peach sauce. And I usually use canned peaches for that, or fresh if I can find them. So there's so many things you can use canned peaches for. So it's nice to have a bunch of them on hand. Like I said, I probably should have done a little more than this, but that's okay. Can always go buy more. I don't want to make the chunks too small, just because I don't want them to mush when they're canning. So this one here has a little bit of a bruise. I'm just going to cut it right off. Just so the final product looks nice and appetizing. I'm going to dice up the rest of these off camera, and then when I'm done, or chunk them, I will return and we will start jarring them up and doing that part of the process. So I cleaned up the mess and I put the chunks of peaches in the bowl here, our simple syrup. Oh, just one sec, I gotta get another mat. Okay, do this. Actually, no, we'll leave this one here. Maybe move this one over. We'll put the lids over here. Okay. Now everything's in arm's reach and I can do this properly. Okay. So I'm just going to push them down a little bit. I'm going to do them very similar to the pineapple we canned the other day, if you watched that video. I'm going to make about a 1/2 inch headspace. I think what we're going to do is we're going to fill all the jars and then we'll fill them all with the juice. One process at a time here, just so I don't miss a step. We'll see if I can get a little bit more than 9 jars. That would be great. This actually made a lot more peaches than I expected. I did get the majority of the bruises off of the peaches, but if there's a few left, it's not a big deal. I do see a couple that still had like a bruise on them, but I'm totally okay with that. I don't want to squish them too much, but I am trying to pack them in there a little bit so that when the juice comes in, it fills in a lot of the holes. Oh, something on my jar. Just one moment, I'm going to go clean this. It's like a residue of some kind. That's why it's always important to check your jars for nicks or anything like that. I usually do it on the top here when I'm wiping them. I think we're going to have enough perfectly for 9 jars. I guessed correctly. If there's any left over, I'll just eat them for lunch. I haven't eaten lunch yet. Okay, so the rest I'll leave. I don't think there's enough there for a whole jar. So let's start. Oh, my ladle. I was like, where's my ladle? Okay, so this mixture has probably about 3 or 4 cups of water in here. And about, I'd say 4 cups of water, 1/2 cup of sugar, and probably about 2 or 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I am going to add, I'm going to do that first actually, about a teaspoon of lemon juice to each one of these, just to add a little bit more acidity for the canning process. There is a little bit in the simple syrup, but I don't think it's enough, so let's do a little bit more. And then we're just going to fill the mixture into the peaches. Okay, Might have added a little too much water. We'll see here in a sec. Get my chopstick. For those that have watched me before, you know that I like to use a chopstick to take the air bubbles out. Okay, there's a little too much liquid, so I'm just going to take it out. Make sure I got all the air bubbles. Yep. Okay, now I'm going to wipe the edge. And we're going to put the lid on. Oh. Hand tight. Make sure you don't do it more than hand tight. And I'm just going to put them on my cloth here to get ready for canning. I've been using this organic lemon juice. I love it. It's way better than the concentrate stuff that you can buy. Tastes better too. I think it's worth the extra money. Okay. Just going to push them down a little bit. Make sure I got all the air out. Yep. So we got 9 pint-sized jars. That's not bad. I was hoping I would get at least 9. Like I was saying before, if you don't want to use sugar water, you can just put lemon juice and water, and that's fine. You don't have to have the sugar in it. I just find it gives the peaches a better flavor. And it's nicer to eat them right out of the jar. Ooh, 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 ooh. Just about forgot to do the rim. I'm going to put this one back in the pot here just in case I got liquid on it. This is usually why, like the thing that I just did, this is usually why I do things in a certain order so that I don't forget something. So I try to do it similar every single time just for that exact reason. There's a lot of air in this one. Make sure I got it all. This cloth is wet, and I have it wet with water and sprinkled some vinegar on it. Took me a sec to get my words. If you haven't watched any of my other canning videos, the reason why you do this is to take the air bubbles out the sides of the jar, or even the jar period. It helps everything last longer. You do not want to have air bubbles in there and then your canning go bad within a year. So it stays fresher longer. Air inside the jar isn't a good thing. It's not just that, but when it's canning, sometimes all the fruit will come to the top and your jar, the liquid will come down like this far. And the reason for that is because you didn't take the air bubbles out. So if you want the fruit to be covered, you need to take the air bubbles out. I am going to have to can these in 2 processes, only because my electric pressure canner / water bath canner only does 7 pints at once, so I'll have to run these through a couple times. I might do it half and half just so the canner's nice and full. When you're canning peaches, you do not have to heat the lids. I just prefer that method. I find all of my canned goods seal better when I heat the lids. That's just a personal preference, though. If you look closely, you can see all the air bubbles that are coming out when I'm putting the chopstick in. It's almost like fizzy, like pop. Or soda, depending on where you live. Okay, last jar. I think I made a little too much simple syrup, which is okay. Can't get it out. There's only one left in the pot, so it's like right on the bottom. There we go. There we go. So now we can start the canner and start canning them. Okay, so I started the canner. It's starting to warm. I'm going to do 5 in the first batch and 4 in the next, just so that the canner has a little bit more in it, so I don't feel like there's only 2 jars in there. So once I finish the canning process for all of the jars, I will show you the finished product. Okay, so this last batch is done. Just taking it out of the canner here. All the previous batch is already sealed. I'll give you a close look in a minute here. Okay, so this is what they look like. Finished product. Looks beautiful. Okay guys, so that's the end of this video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.